Hey guys, Gathering Magic back again, and this is part two of the Market Watch for November 3rd, 2024. So in this one, we're going to do a deep dive on all the different cards from every set in Splinterlands. So we're going to start, as we always do, with Alpha. These are all the Alpha Commons available for sale. As I mentioned in the video, you can see where most of the cards now are right around $1 plus. A couple months ago, a lot of these, I would say at least 6 to 8 of these were in the 40 to 60 cent range. So we've seen a pretty good price appreciation for Alpha Commons. As you can see, the numbers here, even for Commons, are quite low. Some of these are in the single digits. So the prices range from 74 cents from the Fire Beetle all the way to $3.07 for the Silver Shield Warrior. Now this was a card that had been, I'm trying to remember exactly, 35, 40 cents a few months ago. This was probably one of the cheapest commons, but now after the buyout, you can see how it's been relisted higher. And these are for single BCX copies. So you can see most of these copies are all single BCX, pretty much the same buyer for $3 or seller for $3.07. So those are your commons. Let's go on to the rares. Now in your rares, you're going to hit right around $2, $2.50 for the floor, all the way up to $10.45 for Zintar. Now I'm kind of surprised that Ulrich isn't the most expensive summoner, that it's Zintar. You can see there's 20 copies of Ulrich compared to just 9 for Zintar. So if you look at Zintar, there's only 2 single BCX alpha cards for sale. So one for $10.45 and then one for just under $12, and then you start getting into the multiple copies. If you're willing to spend a little bit more, you can get a better deal. You can get a level 2 for basically $5 per BCX. And then one thing I also like to sort by, just to kind of take a quick glance, are the summoners. So you can see alpha summoners for the rares range from 243 to 1045. Let's go next to the epic cards. So there's only 10 epics in alpha. And the one outlier this week, as you can see, is the Defender of Truth for $62.37. But that is not for a single BCX. That's for a 9 BCX level 4. So as you can see, if single BCX copies would be between $6 and $7. So that makes it more in the realistic range for what alpha epics have been selling for. Still think these are undervalued. I mean, considering this is the very first set of Splinterlands. And you can see the overall circulation numbers are just above 1,000 to 1,300. So not a lot of cards in existence. Very few copies on the marketplace. You can see most of these are single digits. Let's look at Mischievous Mermaid. Okay, that's another one too that is not a single BCX. If it was, it would be in the $3 to $4 range. So single copies have been drying up off of the market for alpha. And then finally for legendary cards, the cheapest card is Lord of Darkness for $21.83. The most expensive is Elemental Phoenix for $140. One thing I wanted to show you guys is I was able to pick up a Alpha Lord of Darkness last week. I believe it was $16, and as soon as I saw that, I'm like, yep, an Alpha Legendary under 20, I'm going to pick that bad boy up. So I now own an Alpha Lord of Darkness. Okay, let's go now to the gold cards. So once again, just awesome cards. I mean, that gold really pops at you. I wish the newer card sets did this where it was, blatantly obvious that these are gold cards. But you can see here, the floor, you're still sitting around $13 to $15 for the cheapest common. These commons do start at level 4, so keep that in mind. They are a higher level than most of the newer sets where a gold common is level 3. And then all the way up to the Silver Shield Knight for $816. And that is for a single BCX copy. So those are going to sit there for quite a while. But, from time to time, I've been thinking about picking up one of these, under 20 bucks, just to have an alpha gold card, I think would be pretty sweet. Moving to the rare cards. Now you can see the floor, you're sitting right about $70 for the floor of an alpha rare gold foil, only 2 Cerberus on the market. There is only 18 available, so there are 20 rares in the set. There's 2 of them that are not even listed. and the price goes up to, and this one is another one that has sat here for quite a while, $966 for a single copy of the Water Elemental. Let's look at summoners. So one of the missing cards is a summoner. So it looks like it is the one for death, Zintar. But $130 for Liana, Ulrich sitting at 179, Malric at 347, and then Tyrus at 368. Then your epics. I'm surprised that all 10 epics are represented in gold foil on the marketplace. I think that's a pretty good achievement. Considering how rare these cards are, look at the circulation numbers, under 100 for all of these. And single copies on the marketplace, 2 of the Naga Warrior, and surprisingly 5 of Serpent of the Flame, but still, these cards are extremely rare, especially when you get to legendary cards. There are only 2 available. Okay, so for Alpha, let's now look at the promo cards. So the promo cards, there are 4 dragon cards that are available, 1 of each rarity. As you can see, there is not a legendary card. The common, surprisingly, is more expensive than the rare. So the common is sitting at $18.45 for the Dragon Whelp. Neb Cine is sitting at $14.45, rare summoner. Rel Dragon Archer, the epic, is sitting at $30. And for the gold foil, the common is sitting at $42.36, single copy available. And the gold foil Neb Cine is sitting at $149. So those are all of your alpha cards. Now let's take a look at beta, the core and reward cards. So a month ago, I think it was, where the commons were all bought out for all the cards under 10 cents. So your cheapest beta common was 12 cents. Last market watch, they drifted back down to 6, and now they're back down to normal, which I would consider normal when you start getting in the 3 to 5 cent range for beta commons. So you can see here, there are 39 available, ranging in price from 4 cents. Some great cards here if you play in Wild. All the way up to the most expensive is a Crustacean King at 95 cents. Moving to the rares. So the floor for your rares, you can see 21, 22 cents. All the way to chicken is at 36 cents. And Ulrich Stormbringer is sitting there at $1.53. And Serpentine Soldier at 205. Now I would put Ulrich as the most expensive beta card, so either he is a little bit underpriced, or Serpentine Soldier I think is way overpriced at 205. And then looking at summoners, you can see great price. I mean, if you want to play in Wild, it's not very expensive to pick up some of these summoners. I mean, they may seem kind of basic, but only 3 mana is decent. You know, you get that 1 ability and you get it at a really good price. And remember too, with beta, you don't need as many copies as you may be used to. Like for silver, I believe it's normally 25 copies for a rare summoner to hit max silver. For beta, you only need 11. So remember, so not only are these cards cheap, you don't need as many of these to hit the levels that you're used to, unless you're playing at max level, of course. So if you're like me and you're playing in silver or maybe low bronze or low gold, you know, these cards are pretty affordable. Okay, let's move on to epics. So epics, you're sitting at 61 cents for the fire spitter, but then you're really hitting, 70, 75, 80 cents pretty quickly. So most of these cards are 80 cents plus, all the way up to $32, but this is for a single BCX. If you're willing to spend a little bit more, you could actually get a max copy for 95 cents per BCX. So one of the things to remember when you look at the market, you may look at a card and just look at the price and go, oh my God, that's way too expensive. Make sure you actually do check it out, because there may be a good deal there. I mean, 32 for a single BCX of this card is ridiculous, but if you can get a max summoner for 95 cents per BCX, it may be worth it. So that may be a deal for you. Let's just look at the summoners overall. So let's just pick another one. Let's pick Talia. So $3.95 per BCX. So there's a max copy for 60, so $1.30 per BCX. So definitely, when you are checking out the market for cards, make sure you look at the individual card and see if there is a deal on, you know, a higher BCX copy. Don't just focus on the single BCX ones. And then finally, legendaries. The floor for your legendaries is 412. Or 417, I'm sorry, for the Fallen Spectre, but then after that, look how it jumps, 645 and then 7. So pretty much your floor is moving to that $8 range for most of the legendaries for beta. And then Voldemort, the floor is $90, and if you'll notice the name, this is a card I also picked up earlier in the week. There were a couple copies there for, I believe, $32.50. So you have 32 or 33.50, and doing the market watch, I've seen, you know, this card single BCX going a lot for like 90 to 120 range. You could get it at a better deal if you buy a max copy. You know, you can get it for $33 per BCX. But if you don't have the money and you just want to get, you know, just one copy to have, you know, it's usually been, like I said, 90 bucks plus. So I was very happy to snag that card for 33. I put it up for sale. If it sells, great. If it doesn't, you know, hey, I've got one that I can play with in Wild. So that is it for the legendaries. Let's go back to commons, check out the gold foil prices. So quickly we're hitting very close to $2 for the floor for gold foil beta commons. Decent amount on the marketplace. This is another card that is really boomeranged in price. I mean, Creeping Ooze, I sold one for months and months ago for around this $3 or $4 a month, maybe a month and a half ago. I saw this above like 12 to 20. Now it's back down under 4. So certain cards can just really just yo-yo in price. Most expensive right now is Flesh Golem, which seems to be about right. $14.25 seems reasonable. These do seem to be reasonable prices for the higher end commons for a beta gold foil. Looking at the rares, your floor is right around $6 for the cheapest rares. But you can see how some of these are very low in quantity. A lot of them under 10. Only a single copy of the Peacebringer. But look, 38 chickens. So there's a ton of gold foil chickens, only one crystal werewolf. So the most expensive, you're sitting at $50 for the Paladin, $50 for Stone Golem. I think these two are overpriced. I think Javelin Thrower is also overpriced at $32. 20 for Ulrich, you know, 20 bucks for these seems pretty reasonable. I would say the top three are a little bit overpriced. Let's just take a quick look at summoner prices. For beta, yep, not bad for a beta summoner. And also remember, a single copy gets you level 3, not level 2. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, let's look at epics. So your epics, 28 bucks basically for the floor for the brownie, all the way up to 247 for the death summoner. And then for your legendaries, 140 is the floor, but then after that single copy, Black Dragon is the next cheapest at 267. So a big jump in price from the lowest to the second cheapest legendary gold foil. And then the most expensive ones, Voldemort has come down again. What was it, a month ago? This was $2,200, $2,400. Now they're asking $1,250. Still, you know, a ton of money, but this has come down in price. Oh, it's actually the same price now as Play-Doh. They're asking $1,250. Single copies of each of these. Look at the circulation numbers. There's only 49 in circulation. Peak Rider, surprisingly, is almost 3 times the price of Voldemort. But once again, when you have the only one, you can set the price. Okay, so next let's look at beta. Let's look at the promo cards. So your promo cards, let's just look at all of them. So once again, you've got one of each rarity up until legendary. So Delwyn had been up to, I think, $1.20 last week. When I did the market watch, the numbers earlier, he was $1.10. Now he's at $1.04. The rare is sitting at 50 cents. Fiendish Harpy at 278. And then, as I mentioned in part 1, Red Dragon, this is about the cheapest I've seen, just over 10 bucks. So if you're interested in one, this is a low price. Archmage Arius sitting at just under 700, and Prince Julian sitting at 1700. For your gold foil versions, as you can see, there's none of the gold foil legendary promos. Delwyn will cost you $10, Dragling Bowman 25, and then 40 for the Fiendish Harpy. Since we're here, let's jump to orbs next. So orbs, of course, a very small set. Not a whole lot to talk about with orb. Common cards, 5 to 10 cents seems about right. Plenty for sale. To the rares, all three are decent cards. 22 cents to 36 cents for the Silver Shield Bard. Those prices seem pretty standard. Your two epics are actually cheap, so I wanted to draw your attention to these two cards. If you play in Wild like I do, these are two very good cards, both 3 mana, Little League cards. Triage is always nice. Magic Snipe with a neutral card that you can use in the neutral only rule set is pretty good. So if you do play in Wild, even if you play in the lower tiers, just pick up one copy of each of these and you will be very happy. I use these cards a lot. And then for your legendaries, there's only 3 legendaries in the set, and 2 of these have kind of jumped in price. Usually these are $7 to $10, right in that range, so they've all increased a little bit. Corrupted Pegasus is 16 now, Minotaur Warlord is 18. And then looking at the gold foil versions, your gold foil commons, you're sitting $2.25 up to $7.43 for the Goblin Chef. For your rares, you're sitting at just right around $8, $8 to $9 for the rare version. Only one Bard, so if you're interested in the gold foil Bard, you're going to want to snag it before it's gone. There's just one available. No epics available. And then 2 out of the 3 legendaries, and these have been up for quite a few months. You will know if you follow the Market Watch. The Minotaur Warlord for $700, and the Corrupted Pegasus is still sitting there at $1,400. You can see the low numbers in circulation. Okay, so that is it for Orb. So let's move on to Untamed Core and Reward cards. So sitting at a penny for the floor, all the way to just some great cards. Now, if you remember from last time in the Market Watch, Failed Summoner was up to 74 cents, and I thought that was pretty high. Figured it would come down in price. It has come down to 47. I think it may come down a little bit more. I would expect this card to probably settle in the 25 to 35 cent range. But still, 47 cents isn't horrible, but if you do need to pick up a lot of these, you're going to want to check to see if there's any BCX numbers that you need. There are 2 max copies available, but you're looking at over $140. If you want just a few copies available, a few BCX, there really isn't any for sale. There's a level 2 and a level 3, but the BCX price is higher than what you could buy individually. So just wanted to bring that to your attention, but still some very great cards you can get for Wild. I mean, some of my personal favorites I've talked about before: the Spy, the Thief, the Sandworm, Demented Shark for the Inspire, Parasitic Growth for Little League. Some really nice cards. Maggots, just to get another opportunity card for death. Warrior of Peace is nice, especially at higher levels. So don't overlook Untamed if you do play in Wild. Moving to rares, Dark Ferryman sitting at 5 cents. He's your cheapest rare. All the way to 88 cents for the Chimer Princess. Tower Griffin at 73. Shield Bearer sitting at 42 cents. And let's take a look at the summoners. Once again, if you play in Wild, you want to get some diversity with your summoners. 3 mana. For most of these except for the dragon, and you're just looking at pennies, 15 cents, 19 cents, 22. Even Bortus. Bortus is usually, between 35 and 50 cents. That's a pretty good price for him. But once again, if you're looking for summoners, don't overlook some of the older sets. Now on to epics. 20 cents, 22 cents is the floor for epics. Moving on up to the Chief sitting at 223. He was over $4 last market watch, so he's come down. I really like Coral Wraith. This card is so much fun to play. Magic damage and sneak is just very, very cool, especially in the magic only rule sets. You know, sometimes they'll put their weaker magic monster in the back thinking there's no way that you can hit it in the back, and with Coral Wraith you can. So that's another card that I'm very glad that I picked a copy of. And then for your legendary cards, 229 is the floor. Going on up to some key cards, Kitty is sitting at 50, so same as 2 weeks ago. Jotun 37.50, Llama 28, Cornelia sitting just under 14, Kron just under 11. What are there some good cards? Dragon Jumper I can't believe is only 350. Vigilator with that double strike, double attack for 325. Some very affordable cards that you can add to your collection. Oh, and I want to say thank you. I did receive a gift from a viewer. He sent me a Gloridax Guardian after watching one of my videos. So thank you very much for that. Very much appreciated. It's another reason why I really love Splinterlands is just we have a fantastic community. So shout out to all you guys. All right, so that's the regular cards. Let's go to the gold foil. So your commons, you're sitting at just over 50 cents for the floor for a gold foil common, all the way up to, once again, failed summoners, most expensive, sitting there at 450. The deal of the week, I think of for commons for Untamed for me this week, Serpentine Spy at 99 cents. For a gold foil for this card, get it at level 3. If you don't have this card and you play in Wild, get the Serpentine Spy for 99 cents just to have a copy of it. Okay, rares. Just over $2, the floor for a rare. All the way up to Chimer Princess again at 830. Let's go ahead and check out the prices of some gold foil summoners. Once again, very affordable. 250. This I think is a steal. 253 for Bortus. He's the most expensive regular foil, but he's almost the cheapest gold foil. So for me, you know, I play in gold foil guild brawls. You know, I like to pick up at least one copy of each of the summoners, just so you know, I have something that I can play in the guild brawl. So if I didn't already have this, I would definitely grab it. But still, if you can get a gold foil summoner for a couple of bucks and you play in Wild, you know, it's a pretty good deal. Okay, moving to epics. So now you're looking at right around $10 as a floor for a gold foil epic, all the way up to $50 for Hero of the Beyond. And then finally, your gold foil legendaries, the best of the best. The Vigilator is the cheapest at $64.50. All the way to, once again, Almo Cambio is the most expensive. Single copy sitting at $1,000. 2 copies of Kitty. The cheapest Kitty is sitting at just under $700. $420 for Jotun. $400 for Llama. Kron sitting at $143. So there are some of the key cards from Untamed. Okay, so now let's look at the promos. So for your promo cards, you've got the Halfling Alchemist, regular foil, $1.57, gold foil at $88.11, and then Chain Golem. This is about the cheapest I've seen the Chain Golem, just under $6, $5.51, and gold foil sitting at $50. Okay, let's move on to dice. Another small set, so this will go pretty quick. Normal price range now for the commons, 2 cents to 10 cents is about right. Actually, maybe even 5 or 6 cents would be the most expensive. Usually the battering ram is the most expensive. This should probably be a 3 or 4 cent card, so this is a little bit high. So next market watch, I would expect the battering ram to be the most expensive again. And then rares for the summoners. A lot of movement in the top 4. These seem to like shift around a lot. Sometimes Lorna Shine's the most expensive. There was a week where Bright and Bloom was the most expensive, but you know, Mylor is usually number 1 or number 2 in price. He's sitting at just over $1. Lorna Shine's sitting at 77 cents. Ouster at 73. So if these are cards you're looking to pick up, these are pretty much average prices, so not overpriced, and no really good deals, I don't think, for any of the top end summoners. Epics, you're in that 30 to 70 cent range. And then your legendary cards, 244 is your cheapest. And the card I wanted to look at is Crowless, sitting at 60 bucks. But that is for a 3 BCX level 2. So there are no single copies. If there were single copies, this is usually what they go for. 20, 25 bucks for a Crowless is about right. So, don't get, all excited and be like, oh my God, Crowless is up to 60 bucks. Well, that's for a multiple BCX copy. And then Epona sitting at 60. That's for a single BCX, and that's usually what she is, between, I would say, 38 and 50 bucks. So she's actually gone up a little bit from what I expected. Let's look at the gold foils now. So your commons, 50 cents to around $1. Okay, so your rares. So once again, gold foil summoners are always great to have. I remember I picked up a Mylar, I think it was like 10 bucks a couple months ago, couldn't believe it. 15 is still great. I think that's underpriced for who he is, Mylar, that ability. Lorna Shine at 20. I think I was telling you guys over the last few market watches when she was like 6, 8 bucks. I'm like, she's not going to stay there very long. If you want to get a copy, go ahead and grab one. Now she's up to 20. Bright and Bloom, I think, is a little bit high, sitting at 29. But once again, these summoners are all, pretty useful and wild, pretty key summoners. If you want some of the cheaper versions, you got Vera and Quid Yuff, 3 to 6 bucks. May not be the most powerful of summoners, but like I said earlier, if you play in gold guild brawls and you need a summoner for wild, don't overlook these. Just having a single copy will allow you to play some cards and maybe win a match just by simply being able to submit a team. Then your epics, 12 to 28.50. And finally, your gold foil legendaries. Crowless is sitting at $300, so he is the most expensive. And I don't remember ever seeing a gold foil Epona, so that is one card that I'm kind of looking forward to at some point seeing on the market, just to see what it's priced at, because I don't think I've ever seen it since I've been doing this. Okay, so that's it for dice. So now are we up to Chaos Legion? Okay, let's look at Corn reward cards. Common. So as you guys know, there's always tons of Chaos Legion commons. So the only thing I really look for is Scavo Hireling, and he's come up a couple cents. I think he was 7 cents earlier, so he's up to 9 cents. He's the most expensive common. All the Soulbound ones are in the 5 to 6 cent range, so those have not changed. For the rares, I think I mentioned in part 1, let's just scroll so we can see how many are in circulation, just so we have a record. Sitting at 2 cents for the floor, all the way down to, and as I mentioned in part 1, Kelia, 32 cents. So pretty much doubled for where she was 2 weeks ago. Kind of surprised at that price jump. So just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. All the Soulbound cards are still in that 20 to 25, 26 cent range. So these cards I think are going to be key moving forward, playing in Wild, because I don't think they're ever going to release summoners again for reward cards. And if by some reason they decide to do it, I'm almost can guarantee they are never going to be able to cast Gladiator cards again. So once these rotate out of Modern and go into Wild, that's going to be where you're going to see these cards. They're going to be in Wild, and if you don't have these, I don't think you're going to be able to cast Gladiators in Wild unless that rule set comes up, which does not come off very often. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Wild may change, since everyone's not going to be able to spam Captain Katie or Cora. Okay, and then your epic cards, pretty much the floor, 9, 10 cents. For Chaos Legion, up to a couple key cards. Wow, this card has spiked just in the last hour or two. When I did part 1 of the Market Watch and just kind of ran all the numbers, the most expensive was Igor, sitting at 35, 36 cents. Since then, he's been leapfrogged by Wave Brood at 38 and Narissa sitting at 65 cents. So big price jump for this card. This card is usually in the 18 to 22 cent range, somewhere in there. So that is a big price jump. Your soulbound epics, you can see, are sitting at just under $1 to $1.20. And then finally, your legendary cards. I think I did mention in part one, the summoner that jumped up in price. So your floor, just under 50 cents, all the way up to, let's see if it's changed. Nope. Lily Shieldpaw is the most expensive Chaos Legion summoner at $6.07. So for the last few weeks, it has been just Immortalis and Possibilis, in that $4 to $5 range. Lily was sitting usually between $3.50 and $4. So big price move there. As you can see, 13 copies, 17 copies, but with Lily, there's only 7. So you've got 5 BCX. 5 single BCX, and then you move into multiple copies. So once these 4 disappear off the marketplace, not very many Lilies out there. So, everybody keeps telling me how Chaos Legion is so massively overprinted, and it may be so, but there's key cards that people need. They're not on the market, at least not yet. So for your Soulbound Legendary cards, you're looking at, just under $5 for the floor, up to $7.12 for Izziar. Now let's go back, look at gold foil versions. So your gold foils for the regular Chaos Legion, 12 to 13 cents is the floor. All the way up to Scavo Hireling has come down, usually cards right around $1. Now it's sitting at 79 cents. So if you don't have a gold foil, good time to get one. For the Soulbound cards, they range from 90 cents to $1 for the floor, up to $1.99 for the Defender. And then for your rare cards, 55 cents pretty much is the floor for the rares. Going all the way to Kelia sitting at $2.30. And then for your Soulbound cards, range $4.85 up to $9.30 for the Marks Rat. And then next is my favorite for land, your gold foil epics. So you're sitting at $2.48 for the Gem Meteor. All the way up to, okay, this one came down earlier today. This was the most expensive simply because there was no single BCX. So these two have been listed in just the last couple hours. The only one available was this one for $22.41. Since then, there's a copy for $3.99 and then another one for $5.90. So very low liquidity for the Weirding Warrior on the market. As you can see, some of these are very low quantities. A couple decent ones. 18, 21 is not too bad. 18 for Narissa. But then again, some of them, like if you have plots that you need dragons, there's only 7 Jin Chihuahuas on the marketplace. And then for the Soulbound ones, you can see where they start. And you see the big price increase, 26 to $40 range right there. Magi Chaos has been shown some love too. Look at that, $6.80 for him. Okay, and then finally for your legendaries. So the floor of these have moved up. We're creeping back up to almost $20 for the floor for gold foil legendary cards from Chaos Legion. All the way up to, let's see what the most expensive non-soulbound is. It's actually Legionnaire Alvar, $130, but that is only because I believe it is a max copy. Yep, so it's a max copy. So normally BCX it would be about 32. So for the soulbound ones, and I think I mentioned this in part 1, the cheapest is 108 up to 198, but if you will notice, there are now 10. Earlier there was only 9 of these available. There's 12 in the set, but there's not even one of each of these on the marketplace, so there are a couple that are missing. But it is in the same price range as it was 2 weeks ago, 108 to 198. And then another thing I want to look at before we move on are just the summoner prices. I think these are all, well, other than Lily, I think these are all ridiculously low for being gold foil legendary summoners. So even, say, oh, it's so overprinted. There's not even 1,000 of these. Most of these, there's not even, what, 600? So gold foil legendaries, just saying, months down the road, maybe a couple years from now, they're going to be multiples of where they are now. Okay, so that's Chaos Legion. Let's look at the promos. Let's look at the common cards. So really not a whole lot of movement with these two guys. Archimus sitting at 9, Vruz sitting at 18. Archimus the Bear actually has gone up a lot since I did the numbers earlier today. He was like just barely over $1 for a single BCX. And now you can see just in the last couple hours, now the cheapest one is $2.50. And that there's only one of those available. And then he jumps to basically $4 for a BCX. So someone bought out the single copies and relisted higher because, as you can see, the ones that are combined, the higher BCX ones, are sitting at, right around $1 per BCX, and this is what he has been selling for. So if you're looking to pick up a single copy, you may want to wait for one to come on the marketplace at a more reasonable price. And then Vruz, last market watch was at 4, so he's down to 275, so that's a little bit more reasonable. Okay, and then your legendaries. Dr. Blight, as I mentioned in part 1, I think this is the first time I've really seen him under 10 bucks. So 9.10, great price for him. Ossur's come down from, where was she, in the 20s, down to 13.50. Zerial's still sitting at 28. Waka Spirit Blade, remember when this guy came out and was, what, multiple $100? Now he's down to 95. And Lux Vega, usually between, what, 200 and 240. So 195 is a little bit of a good price. And then let's look at the gold foil versions. You can see Dr. Blight at 46, Oshur at 95, Zerial at 124, and Waka sitting at 639. Okay, and then on to Rift Watchers. Another small set. So Rift Watchers, 1 cent to 11 cents for your commons. That's about right. No real movement there. For your rares, the only real movement in price was Queen of Crows. I think basically doubled. I think she was around 32, 33 cents 2 weeks ago. Now she's back up to 65 cents. And how do you pronounce this? Olaf. This has usually been one of the mid-range rares behind Tinderlock and Corsair Boson. Now it's jumped up to second place at 25 cents. So this card has seen some movement. Your epics, of course, Dahlin and Aquatis, the cheapest two on the marketplace, and Ilthane sitting at $1.34, so they've kind of settled in this price range. And then for your legendary cards, usually the ones everyone looks at is Inevitable, has been as high as like $35 or so per BCX. Now it's come down a little bit to $25.49. Let's see how many are available at that price. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 copies under 30, and then you're back to that $32+ range. So there's a couple of them under, 30 bucks. So if you're looking to pick up just a copy or so, you're going to be able to under 30. And then after that, you can see it quickly goes up after that. So, and some of the other cards, I still think these are a decent price for what they are. Mortius for under 2, Ra for 2, Rumancer Kai 260. For that price, they're all right. Coral Lurker had been as low as 6 or 7. Now it's back up to 13. Okay, let's look at the gold foils. Gold foil movement for Ashmaraj up to 279. So this is pretty much doubled from where it usually is. Your rares, 75 cents or so, up to just under 4 for Queen of Crows. This seems about right. You'll notice where Olaf is in the list. This is usually where it is, right around this place. So was surprised to see the normal foil in second. Your epics, and this I mentioned also in part 1. Usually Ilthane is 10 to 15 bucks and is the most expensive. Skargor at 33 was kind of surprising. So as you can see, you can get a max copy for $55, which is $5.50 per. That seems about right. This copy for 33 and then these single copies for 55 are way, way overpriced. So if you're going to spend $55, do you want a 1BCX one or do you want a max level one? Okay, and then finally with your legendary cards, Mordius sitting at just under 26 bucks, up to Inevitable at 189, single copy available there. Okay, so that is it for Rift Watchers, and now we can wrap this up with Rebellion. So the nice thing with Rebellion is we can separate between core and reward. So let's go through the reward cards first. Let's go for the regular commons. So these are going to be selling 9 to 12 cent range. It pretty much costs you, I think, 8 cents or so to unlock. So even selling at 9 cents, you're only going to make a penny. Actually, you're going to make under a penny after fees. So don't know if it's really worth selling commons unless you can, if you can get 10, 11, 12 cents, and at least you're making a couple cents per card. Rares, 37 cents, and then this one is spiked up to 60 cents because it is the only copy available. Earlier today, they were in the 37 to 45 cent range. Your epics, $1.85 for the blade, up to $2.80 for the refugee. So the refugee has taken over the top spot from Olivia. Surprised to see the Conjurer in second because I don't see anyone playing this card, and I don't think I've played it. So surprised that's in second place. And then for your legendaries, most of them are on the marketplace. As you can see, just under $10 for the Death Ranger, up to 18 for the Chaos Battle Mage. So not many copies available on the marketplace. So if you do need one, not a lot to choose from. And if you do have some of these and you're looking to sell them, maybe a good time to jump in the market and try to sell because you're not going to have a lot of competition. Okay, so those are the reward. Now let's look at the core cards. Or actually, let's look at the gold foil. We didn't look at the gold foils. The demon, this is surprising to me because I think this is under peg or undervalued because it costs, what is it? I think it's $2 if it's at peg to unlock. So DEC, that would be what, $1.60? So you're barely making anything on this if you sell it for $1.75. But that's the floor, up to $4 for a common. Your rares, $4.25 to $16.99. Now I love the Dark Arborist, but really 17 bucks. It's the only one available on the market, so not to throw shade on whoever's selling this, but if anyone has a rare gold foil and you list it less than $16.99, you're probably going to be able to sell it if you put it more reasonable. If you put it around 10 or 11, you'll probably sell that card. Okay, epics. Only 3 of the 7 epics are available for sale. The Blade at 40, the Conjurer at 58, and then Olivia the Brook, 2 copies, 65 bucks. So, oh, actually Stever, shout out to Stever. He's got an Olivia for sale for 65. And then Rogue is selling one for 70. So I know Rogue is probably not very happy with Stever if he's watching this. He's like, Steve, you undercut me. And then finally, the one you will never see one. I seriously doubt you're ever going to see a gold foil legendary on this list. And if you do, shout out to whoever unlocked it and is trying to sell it. All right, so that's it for the reward. So now let's go to core. So floor price, 4 or 5 cents, seems about normal. As you can see, lots of copies available for sale. So it is holding its price. Let's take a look at the summoners. So you're looking at 27 cents, 28, 30, 32. So pretty normal price for the common summoners. As you guys probably know, I bought some of these out a couple weeks ago. Maybe buying more in the future because these are going to be key moving forward in Modern. People are going to need summoners, so your choices are, the very expensive legendaries, the rares that are okay but not the greatest, or do you want just the cheapest ones that maybe it's overlooked, but they do allow you to play 2 different splinters. So, and you don't need to have all 5 of these. If you have any combination of 3, you've got all your splinters covered. So you're at least going to be able to play in regardless of the rule set. Okay, moving to rare. 10, 12 cents for the floor for rares. Up to your most expensive rares, you're looking at $1.31 for Moxie and Rebel. Soothsayer sitting at $1.08. Avina the Wolf, 92 cents. the Bolter at 60. So these are the main cards from the set. But once again, let's take a quick look at the summoners, because these are what people are going to need starting in April. You know, if that's when we do get Chaos Legion rotated out. So Nomos with No Love sitting there at 20 cents. I expect him to dry up. Prophet Rosa, 40 cents, also a decent price. Death Summoner, 48 cents. Same for Earth. Then Life sitting at 92. So like I said, your choices, these are your choices, affordable choices for summoners going forward in Modern. So it's up to, you know, each person to decide, you know, what they want to do. Okay, let's move to epics now. So for your epics, 60 cents is the floor, up to 333 for Captain Fellblade, and then the card of the week pretty much is Palace, getting that new ability, Kindred Spirit. This card was selling for $1.40 to $1.60 range. After this took effect, I saw it shoot up to $3.50, maybe a little bit more. Now it's settled back down to $2.24. And then finally, your legendary cards, your floor is sitting right around $3.40 for the floor. For the legendaries, I went over all the key cards in the set, so I won't go through all of this again. You guys can see on the screen the prices. Tofu is still sitting there at over $50. So those are your legendary cards. And then for your gold foils, let's look at commons. Getting close to 50 cents for the floor for most of the commons. All the way up to surprisingly strong prices for commons. You know, for your summoners, you're looking at pretty much around $3 to $4 for your summoners. I think these prices are going to just continue to go up. There's not very many on the market, as opposed to the regular foil, of course. And if there's a lot of players out there like me that love the gold foils, for summoners, because you're going to use them constantly, so to be able to constantly get that 10% bonus every match, for me, is huge. You know, that glint does add up. So I don't expect these prices to come down a whole lot. And of course, you have the Magician sitting there at $4.15, being a healer. Rares sitting at right around $1.50 for the floor. Up to Moxian Rebel sitting at $8.89. Avina the Wolf, I remember a while ago that was a $9, $10 cards, come down under $6. Your epics, $6 to $7 the floor for your gold foil epics. Up to your top two are Palace, just under 24, and Captain Fellblade at 25. And then finally your gold foil legendaries, Zabajin sitting at 35. And then after that, of course, you can probably guess the most expensive is Tofu, sitting at $2.75. 2 weeks ago, it was $5.50. So it's come down quite a bit, but still, $2.75 is a pretty good price for a new gold foil legendary card. All right. So we can wrap this up now with the promo cards. So for your regular foil promo cards, Mana Warden sitting at 13 cents. Henchling Enforcer, mentioned in part 1, had been sitting around 50 cents, almost doubled in price up to 95. Vicar is sitting at 231, Night Stalker at 239. Grimbardensmith stays consistently above 250, so he's still sitting at $2.60. Baron Fiat has come down, he's down to 340. Delia sitting at 32.45. Mantroth at 34.50, and Eleanor Bravefoot at just under 40 at 39.42. And then for your gold foil versions, Mana Warden, a month ago it was $3, so with more and more supply coming out, he's down to $1.65. Henchling Enforcer, though, more than doubled in price. He's up to $6.85. Night Stalker sitting at 14. Sanctus Vicar at 18.40. Grimbardensmith gold foil staying above $20. Baron Fiat was the one that took the big hit this week. He was in the $62 to $67 range over the last month. He's down under 35. Delia sitting at $2.95. Mantaroth at $3.50, and Eleanor at $4.50. I think I need to add Delia. I don't think I had this on part 1 of the Market Watch, so I've got to make sure that I go back and add that in so I can keep track of that. So there you have it, guys. Thank you for watching this long episode of part 2 of the deep dive for the Market Watch. It takes a while to go through, but I appreciate you guys watching. Like I said, I like to have just kind of a record as we move forward in the weeks and months and years ahead, to be able to just look back and just kind of take a look at what the market was at a certain moment in time, what prices were, how many cards were available, and what the trends were. So hope you guys enjoyed, hope you appreciated it. Next week we will be doing the land market watch, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, stay the course, keep on forging, have fun. See you soon. Take care. What? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it went pretty good. Huh? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely better than that tier advancement video. Oh, man, that was a bunch of crap.